Hello, 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 that grape juice viewers. I'm Chet Kincaid, and we are coming to you live from Netflix's The Redeemed Team's Red Carpet Tune In. What's up, that grape juice viewers? We are here with the incredible journalist Jemele Hill. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great. Just really excited about this documentary.
Absolutely. So, watching the Redeem Team, we saw the first Olympic game that they all, unfortunately failed in 2004. And it's almost been 20 years since that. And you have been doing this, you've been putting in the work. So, what are the differences and the changes and the growth that you've seen from many of these players since then?
Well, it was funny because there's a comment made by one of my fellow scribes, Bill Plaschke, when he said like it was such a given that they were going to win in '04, that first game against Puerto Rico, that nobody went. I was there because that was my very first Olympics, and so covering that game and seeing how the U.S. It just really hit you like they're really in trouble. Like they can't get past this team. Like this is going to be a struggle, and unless they flip some magic switch, I don't know how they're going to do it. So then you had a young Carmelo, a young LeBron, a young D Wade, and at that point in the league, they were still young, but you saw that these were going to be brilliant players in the league. But international basketball is a lot different. So to see them grow as players, grow as men, and then when they come back in for the '08 team, that there was such a different level of urgency and determination that they had. Because in '04, they kind of had to play the backseat to some veterans. In '08, it was their league. And you can see that evolution very obviously.
So also you've seen them transform from rookies to superstars. And something that I loved about this documentary was the fact that there was such an emphasis, a message of teamwork. It's not about individualism, it was about being a unit. What do you think are some of the challenges when some of these team members or athletes they become have a huge ego and lose that sense of team?
Well, I don't think it's that players. I mean, yes, players have ego because I think you have to have ego to be great, right? That's part of what makes them a superstar. But there's a difference between wanting to win and wanting to win your way. And the thing is, when they're in the company of an Olympic team, where they're with guys who have accomplished just as much or more, I think for their ego, it's not really a huge deflation because they're around great players, players that they trust, just because they know what these players can do. So even though maybe to outside looking in, and for that matter, people have certain perceptions of NBA players that they're all selfish, that they don't care about defense or teamwork. And that's not the case. Like they've been playing team ball their whole lives. But many of them have been in so many situations where they're the best player and that's it. The Olympic team, everybody's a great player. So I think it just lends itself to a different trust factor. And so that's why people kind of joke or say tongue in cheek how they see like a different person when they are playing in the Olympics versus, people used to say Olympic mellow. They used to say that all the time. I was like, well, this would be the mellow you probably get all the time if he were playing around maybe a better supporting cast at different moments in his career. So the teamwork thing, that's the only way it's going to work. It's like somebody has to be willing to do the dirty work. Like you might be averaging 25 a game on your own team, but when you come to the Olympic team, you might have to average five, just get a couple rebounds, some assists, and then that's it. So I think for them, because they know that they're playing for something greater and bigger, that they embrace that challenge.
Absolutely. Now, in this documentary, LeBron James said that this is probably the greatest game that he's ever played. In your opinion, in your opinion, what is the greatest game that you've seen from some of these team members?
I mean, that's so tough because you do have to take the cause into context, right? It is different when you're playing for your country. You're on an international stage, so the stakes are a little bit different. Like you're shaping how the world views our entire country. So I can understand why he would say that, even though I'm thinking about when he put up a triple double on the Celtics in the playoffs, and when he had that tremendous game against Golden State when they were in Game 7, and he had the block that basically kind of sealed the greatest comeback in NBA Finals history. So I've seen him play in a lot of great games. So when he said that, part of me was like, but I can see why. I can see why he said it because you have to take into account the stakes. And even like D Wade has played. I mean, D Wade during his first finals against the Mavericks. I mean, that was just like he was out of his mind. So I was like, but this, I think this was different because the pressure to win was incredible. Like you lose the finals, that's no joke either, for sure. But you have let down a whole country
Yeah.
if you lose in the Olympics. You lose as a member of the Miami Heat or Cleveland Cavaliers or Miami Heat again for LeBron. You just letting down Miami and Cleveland and maybe your fans. You might be letting down like 300 million people. You lose in the world. So I can definitely understand why he said that.
Of course. And lastly, before I let you go, Kobe Bryant, the late great Kobe Bryant, who makes a large appearance in this documentary. What is the feeling of seeing him today?
It was really mixed because, it, of course, it brought a lot of sadness because it's still so hard to believe he's not here. But when the sadness kind of ebbs a little bit and you just remembering how great he was, for that matter, what he meant to this team, he changed the entire dynamic of this team, both from an attitude standpoint and um, for his skill set, what he brought, but mostly from tonally, he changed the way they played. He brought them a meanness and an edge that they needed, and so it was really wonderful to see. Especially at that time in Kobe's career, where the rap on him was that he was selfish, that other guys in the league didn't like him, that, he was a bit of a loner. And so to see him being embraced by this team, for him to be building relationships and you seeing a different side of him, a side that we saw later in his career, but at this point, people really hadn't seen it. It was a little bittersweet. It's like he's not here because I can only imagine what he would have thought about this documentary. And so it was tough, but yet it was heartwarming as well.
It was definitely bittersweet. Well, Jemele Hill, thank you so much. Thank you for your time and that grape juice. Thanks you a great amount, and we hope you enjoy tonight.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.